in the middle of the day on my front lawn. Nobody stopped, cars driving by. Nobody said anything. And I held that probably until I was like 19 years old. So when you have something like that happen to you at a young age, you don't even have language to describe what you're dealing with. So mentally, I'm processing something I don't even know what it is. I realize that.
Welcome to my channel. How you guys doing this beautiful Tuesday night, evening? I'm not sure where you're located. You might be located on the East Coast like me, West Coast, Midwest. But anyway, thank you for tuning in. Those of you who don't know, my name is Pamela. This is my channel, Beauty Within Me. If you're new to my channel, please like, share, comment, subscribe. Like, share, comment, subscribe. If you've been to my channel before, thank you so much for tuning back in. And if you are one of my subscribers, how you doing, my beauties? But anyway, I wanted to get up here to be on a more serious note. Because like I told you, on my channel, Beauty Within Me, we're going to talk about hot topics and things that's going on right now in the entertainment world, but we're also going to talk about more serious things as well. And I'm not sure if many of you are familiar with Cam Newton. He actually used to play on the Carolina Panthers, which is located in North Carolina where I live. But he has his own podcast now, Funky Fridays. And actually, he interviewed Pastor John Gray. I have the link to that video in the description. Boy, when I tell you, after you finish, now listen, after you finish watching my video, then you can tune in to Cam Newton podcast that I have in the description. But you need to watch it. It will fill your soul. Pastor John Gray was actually on Cam Newton's podcast, Funky Friday. And the first thing that he talked about when he was on his podcast, he was talking about his molestation. He talks about when he was 4 years old, his parents, they divorced, they separated. And by the time he was 4.5, he was molested by two guys in his neighborhood. He said they molested him in the front of the yard. And he said cars was passing by and everything, and nobody stopped by to help. Cam Newton also mentioned in the video as well, he didn't really stay on it long, but he did mention that he was molested as well. That was deep. That was really deep. And also, in the video, they talked about how, as an adult, not only males, but females as well, as adults, sometimes we may suffer and act certain ways in our adult life for things that we went through as a child, past traumas that happened to you in a childhood when you were a child that you bring in to your adult life. And they both talked heavily and spoke heavily about David, that's in the Bible, and talked about how as a child, David, he talked about how David's brothers, he was his parents' eighth child, how his brothers didn't like him, how his mother and father really didn't talk to him like that. So they were just trying to say like how they were comparing themselves from the things that David went through as a child to the things that they went through as a child and then into becoming an adult. I thought it was really deep because I think everybody can relate to it, even myself. Sometimes as an adult, you might act certain ways and react certain ways to things based off of things that you went through as a child. But that's why I always tell people, you don't know somebody's testimony. People are quick to judge. And I will admit, when Pastor John Gray was in the news, when they were talking about how he committed adultery the second time on his wife, Amatar, I will admit, I come putting my worldly opinion on like, oh my goodness, how in the world she's staying with him and he keeps cheating on her. But when I saw Cam Newton's, Lucky Friday, and heard this man's testimony. I'm here to tell people today, don't judge anybody until you know their testimony. Don't judge anybody until you know their testimony. That's what's so wrong with a lot of people today. Even I could say, me being, a Christian, someone who is heavily, I go to church. I don't just watch church online. I go to church and fellowship. The church can be a bit judgmental. But that's why when I say my prayers, and it's so funny, John Gray said this. He said he wants to be like Jesus. When I always say my prayers, I always say I want to be like Jesus. Because Jesus is one of the most selfless, non-judgmental people that I ever heard about in the entire world. Jesus don't judge nobody. He loved everybody no matter what walk of life that you came from. He knew what you did. He knew the secrets that you didn't want everybody else to know. And he still loved people and treated people like they should be treated. And that's why I always pray I want to be more and more like Jesus. But I'm just telling you, like, for me to hear John Gray testimony, I can understand why his wife chose to stick by him. I'm not going to call anybody stupid, because everybody out there in the world done put up with something that the next person wouldn't put up with. But just to hear this man's testimony and to know that even though everything that he's been through, that he still loves Jesus. He still loves God. He still loves the Lord. It's just so amazing to me. But I just feel like everybody should watch this video. If you watch this, the video, Cam Newton's podcast, it's about an hour long. But I'm telling you, it was so good, you won't skip through it. You actually sit there and listen through it, because it has a gem. It has a spark for anybody, any and everybody. Nobody, and even though people might pretend, nobody has a perfect life. So I feel like anybody can watch this video and take back something from it, learn something from it. But just to see two men that's vulnerable, that's sharing their testimony. And this happens a lot. Like, I know years ago, Oprah Winfrey had a special where she had the audience filled with men, and all those men were molested at one point of their life, and some of them nobody knew. Some of them, they were suffering from depression and things like that because of that. So my just word to anybody, if you're suffering from past trauma, speak to somebody talk to somebody about it. They can't never change the past, what happened, but at least if you can speak to somebody about it and talk on it, it can help ease the pain. Prayer works, but sometimes you need counseling as well. Prayer by itself at times don't always help. Sometimes you need medical help. You need to speak to a counselor or somebody to talk to it to get it off of your chest. You can't keep holding stuff in all the time, and the only people that know about it is you and God. Sometimes you have to console on somebody else. Like Pastor John Gray said, his wife didn't even know a lot of the things that he went through as a child. He held all those things in until he released it. That's when he became, brand new. But I just want to thank you guys for tuning into my channel. Like I said, I'm not always going to be up here acting crazy, saying crazy things, talking about what's going on in entertainment. Some stuff I'm going to be talking about things that we need. We need to have tools like this to help us go by our day to day, especially in this world right now that we live in. And mental health is real. And a lot of people are suffering from mental health because of past child trauma. So if you or somebody out there is suffering from something, speak to somebody. If you can't afford a counselor, speak to your mother, speak to your friends, speak to somebody who you can trust. And when you go to them, it's not judgment. Sometimes you go to people and tell people stuff, and they try to say, well, it ain't about you right now. I'm trying to explain to you what I'm going through. So speak to someone who you can really console in, and there's no judgment. It's only love. Again, I just want to thank you for tuning into my channel. We're growing. And like I said, please like, share, comment, subscribe. Click on that notification button. Each time I drop, you'll get a notification. And if nobody told you today, I love you, but God loved you first. Bye, my beauties. Bye-bye.